Do subscribe our Technoguru class channel and please don't forget to press that bell icon to receive further updates.
Hey, hello friends, I'm Hitesh. I'm back with another video. Welcome to our Technoguru class channel and a series of Oops in C++. Here, I'm going to tell you about in this video about friend function. So, if you don't know what is friend function, watch this complete video. I assure you that you will need to know exactly what is friend function. Before starting with the program, I'll just tell you some theoretical part of the friend function. So I'll just write over here for you people. So what is friend function? So basically it's function. So your question will be what does friend function do and how it is created basically. So let's say I'll write something over here. So I'll write friend function is not the member of class. So whenever you create any function, basically that functions are created inside the class, then only say that the function is a member of that class. But here I said friend function is not the member of class. So like you create a lot of functions, but this function will not be created inside the class, as well as this is not going to be a member of that class. Second, so where it is created, so basically if it is not a member of the class, it should be created outside the class. Second thing important, this will be surprising for you, it can access the private data members of the class. So this is something strange, like at the very first line I said friend function is not a member of the class, and the second line it says it can access the private data members of the class. So when my question is like who can access the private data members of the class, if you go back and if you think about it, you will find that the members of the class can only access the private data members of the class. But here I have returned friend function is not the member of a class and it can access the private data members of the class. So this is the advantage of friend function. Although it is not a member of the class, it can access the private data members of a class. Cool. Third thing, I'll write over here, as I said, it is not a member of that class. It should be defined outside the class. I hope you know what is defining a function and what is declaring a function. Declaring function means when we write the prototype of that function, and defining function means the body of that function, that open and close bracket, that body is called as basically defining a function. Whenever you define something about that function, that is defined. Fine, it should be defined outside the class. The major advantage of this friend function is, the first advantage I told you that it can access the private data member of the class. Second is it can access more than one class private data members. It can access more than one class private data member. Okay, so like you can access multiple classes function, data members in one function. That is my friend function. So this is the this is one advantage. So let's say I'll create one function over here. Let's say one class over here. I'll write class, not complex. I'll write sample. This is my sample class. You can give anything name. So for here I will example. I'll create two variables over here. So a and b are two variables, correct? So um, a and b are two variables which are private, correct? So that's what I wanted. I'll write public. So now in public, here I'll create one function. Let's say void set data. Okay, so this is one function. So I'll take some parameters inside this, as I did already in my previous programs. It's quite easy. Here I will try to initialize x, and b will take the value of y. And one more function I'll write void display, and this is simply just going to display your data. So here I'll write cout a equal to a. Okay, I'll write over here only, and L double inverted comma b equal to b. Okay, forward L. Yeah, this is done. So this is very simple program where I created a class where we have two data members which are private data members. Set data will initialize two values to that a and b, and display will display those values. Here I didn't created any friend function as such, but I'll implement some friend function concept over here. So let's see, I'll create one object of sample. Through that object I will set data. So I'll write let's say 4 comma 5. So can I display those values? How to display? Ob dot display. So if I compile this, no errors. If I execute it, cool, it's working. Now here, now I will try my friend function concept over here. So let's say I want to do addition of that two private data members, that is a and b. I want to do sum of a and b. So basically I'm going to call a sum function for that. Okay, now uh, can I write ob.sum? Yet I didn't created that sum function, but still I'm just calling that function. So just tell me, I mean, like just whether the syntax is correct or not. Just think about it. As I said at the initial stage, that friend function is not the member of the class. So if I said it's not a member of the class, so do you think is this valid that I'm calling through object? Sum is not a member of sample, so how can I call through OB? So basically definitely it should not be called through OB. Then what should I do? How can I access my OB? So what I can do is I'll just pass this OB inside this bracket. Correct, if you're getting OP, what I did, I cannot use as a caller object, means I cannot call by like ob.sum, because ob is not sorry, sum is not member of ob. Sum is not going to be defined inside that ob, so I cannot write ob.sum. Somehow I need to access that data members of my ob. So what I'll do, I'll just pass that ob as a parameter. Cool. So now I want to create that sum function. So how should I create? So the thing is, OB, again, sum is not a member of the class, so it should not be defined inside the class. So what I will do, I'll create some function outside the class. Now what will be the return type? Are you storing? Definitely you would be knowing about return type and non-return type, assuming that. So here we are not storing anything, so that means this void will be the return type of sum function. Second thing, what will be my parameters? You can see here in sum function I'm passing OP. And what is the data type of OB? So you can see data type of OB is sample. So what I will do is sample OB or O, anything you can take. Guys, let me just tell you in depth about this. If you're not aware about this object passing, so let me just give you a view. I'll give you one example. Think of like if you would be passing 5 over here, then what you would have done, if you would be passing 5, then you would have taken over your int, isn't it? So means you know the data type of 5. 5 is integer type of data, that's why you're writing int of 0, correct? But now here I'm not passing any integer or double or float kind of value. Here I'm passing ob. So what is the data type of ob? Ob is object. It's a variable, you can say. It's of type sample. So that's the reason what you have to do is you just have to take over here sample. So you can take same name also, that's not an issue, but this are going to be two different entities. So fine, if I write OB it's also okay, but if I'm writing O, that is also okay. Cool. Now what I'm going to do here is cout, I'll just display the sum equal to how to access. Now you know OB is one object, it's one copy of sample, which is having, you know, we did set data function. Set data function did what? 4 and 5 has been given to that OBs A and B, correct? So here what is happening is OBs A and B is having 4 and 5. That means when we pass this OB, so we are passing the copy of OB which will have 4 and 5 in its A and B. So that's the case. So here I want to access that A. So how should I access O dot A? Because what happened is when we pass this OB, this copy of OB has been stored in O. So when I try to access, I'll write O dot A. That means I am accessing 4 because it's taking copy, correct? So O dot A plus O dot B. And next. Now, my question is, can you write this statement? Can you write O dot A over here? A is a private data member. Even B is a private data member. So, is it possible? Can some access this private data member? Because you know who can access private data members? Only the member function of that class can access private data member. So, my question is whether my sum is member of class. No, it's not, because it has been declared outside the class, so it's not a member of that class. So definitely when you compile this program, you should definitely get an error about this. So let's see. I just compile this program. You can see one warning is there and two errors are there. What is that two errors? We will see that first. So if I press enter, errors are A is not accessible and B is not accessible. Why A and B is not accessible? Because it's private data member, and private data members can be only accessed by the members of that class. So sum is definitely not a member of that class. So that's the reason. Fine. Now what? How should we give access? So this function, what we have created, sum function, should be declared as a friend. So how to do that? So here you just have to write friend, and the same prototype what you have written over here, that you have to write over here. So I'll write void sum, and I'll write sample O and semicolon. Don't put body because we are not going to put body over here, so that's the reason we have to put this semicolon over here. Fine. So this way. So now your question would be, this we did when we were supposed to create function outside the class, but this is something different, guys. Don't get confused between that part and this, because this is a friend function. When the previous program where you saw I did this way, that and you have created this, but there was one additional thing. What was that? Sample. We were defining over here label for my class, but here I'm not defining label. That means it's not a member of that class, correct? So but here you have to mention friend. Friend means the sum is not considered as a member of that class. We just have given the sum function some privileges to access the private data members of this sample class. So that is the concept. So let's say if I compile this, no errors. If I execute it, done. That means the sum function can access my private data members, that is A and B, just because I defined the sum function as friend inside this class. Cool. I hope you understood, guys. If you have any doubts, you can comment me down. I'll give you one more example in my further video where I will tell you this benefit. I'll discuss about this benefit where I can access more than one class private data member. Just now I told you about these three things, that how we access private data members of a class, how we can how it can how it should be defined outside the class, and what all mandatory things that we have to specify, like friend. Okay, and one more important, that you don't call this ob.sum, because this sum is not a member of my ob. That's the reason I am just passing that ob, because somehow I have to access that data of ob. Thank you.